and through your cooking videos.
There we go.
Nice.
All right, folks. So here we are. So today we are at the lab in another beautiful day, smiling, styling, profiling, shaking hands, not kissing any babies because we can't do it right now. Social distance is important. And we got a very distinguished gentleman here, David Hillelsohn from DHill Financial, joining us today for the lab. Welcome, David. And actually, before I forget, you know what? I don't want these guys to kill me. And sometimes I lose sequence of things here. I want to introduce my partners, Drew Swirsky. He's the owner and operator of the Elite Real Estate Group, and Tyler Holloway, which leads our coaches and our coaching program for real estate agents at the PC United program. Thank you for being here with us today, David. So let's just start talking, let's dive right into it. Tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? What do you do? And what are the things that make you David? And what you do.
Happy to be here, and thanks for having me. I actually met Eric, and he was someone that jumped out at me as someone that creates enthusiasm around the things that he does. He did jump out pretty much just like that. And when we connected, we just shared sort of a similar passion for, giving back and helping people. I started my own insurance practice May 16, 2016, not to be specific, after 26 years as a wholesaler in insurance. So I'm sort of a recovering wholesaler, celebrating my 4-year anniversary this week. My focus is on the life insurance, health insurance side, but trust me, it is more exciting than it sounds.
Outstanding, outstanding. So we're all going, we like a meteor just hit our society, our world, and we're going through changes. We're all adapting and overcoming, and we're creating new opportunities in our businesses. And since I know that you're in the business world of life insurance, share with us how important it is for us to really encompass or to really bring life insurance into our lives now, and always really. But tell us a little bit about the importance of that right now.
Sure. I'm building an insurance practice, never having worked directly for an insurance company, which means no one's really told me you should be doing things this way. I've used sort of my experience and seen how the insurance companies operate to know what they're scared of, right? And be able to help them sort of see the beauty in everything. So when it comes to families and businesses, my conversation with them is generally around prioritizing meeting responsibilities, pushing core values on to those that are paying attention. It's really not a pure insurance conversation. Insurance just happens to be one of the vehicles that we consider. But even for a business, hiring employees that they want to value and take care of, that should be the foundation of the things that we do. So I think today, there's certainly more of an emphasis on foundation, connecting with family, and trying to put people in a better place.
Outstanding. So what is it that you love most of what you do?
What I love most is sort of hearing where people are headed. I'm not the hero of my client's story. They are, right? They're on a journey. Each one of you is on a journey, and the exciting thing for me is hearing where you're headed on that journey. I'm teaching an entrepreneurs class to 5th through 7th graders right now. And I got into a conversation this week with them about one of the kids just started a new business. And so I said to all the students, I'm like, so what's your first question for them? And they're like, I don't know. I said, what did we talk about last week? Why do people start businesses? And they said to make a living, to make money. I'm like, all right, what's your first question? Your first question has to be, how are you going to make money, right? And the reason you want to ask them that question is if you figured out how to help them make money, you know what they're going to want to do? They're going to want to help you make money. So you know what I want to do, Eric? I want to make more money, but I figured out that it's much easier to help other people, succeed on their path, and you help enough people, they're going to want to help you.
Outstanding. That's such a great mentality to have, because nowadays there's so many people out there that are in it just for themselves, right? They never really take a moment to listen and to understand that there are people out there that, if you really dive into them and you give the best of yourself to them, then they'll help you do the same, right? So those ecosystems of collaboration
Love it. Wow.
Are super important. I just want to make sure I pause there for a
Ding, ding,
moment.
ding, ding, ding.
That's a lab term, right?
Yes, that's a lab term. We use it often.
I like
Yeah, we love creating ecosystems. That's awesome. Ty, go ahead, man. I see you, man. You ready to jump out?
Hey, you all right? I was just wondering your perspective on something. You know, when we're talking to business owners or we're talking to real estate agents that have their own independent business, money's only good for the good it can do. And we always encourage people to, you know, just with what Eric said, the ecosystem of collaboration, right? But that we take a look at it and that we're doing something important other than just making money and how we give back. So you already mentioned with teaching the school grade kids, which I think is awesome. We need more business education. We need more financial education with our kids. And that's something that's very important. But how else do you give back? What do you see as your value that you bring besides being a kick butt insurance agent?
It's a great question because that should be the focus, right? You know, in our junior CEOs class, we talk about social responsibility, which, by the way, took a long time to define with 5th through 7th graders. I think they finally got it. I'll share just sort of 2 quick things outside of, you know, being in leadership roles in a lot of organizations where if you know you have something to give there, you really have a responsibility to give it, even just from a time standpoint. But, you know, there are, you know, Loudoun County groups that, you know, want to do a lot for the community right now, certainly for nonprofits. There's going to be a contest coming up, and, you know, I am sponsoring gift certificates to a local restaurant to give back to them, you know, as another incentive. So trying to put money back into the community, and really more than that, encourage other people to do so. But I was also mentioning to Eric that, you know, saying thank you in different ways is such an important piece. And, you know, certainly I have some stories to share if you want to hear those as well.
Man, it's so important to say thank you in these days, right? So often people are takers and takers and takers that just take, and they never really take time to just say thank you, right? Like, it's so important to take a moment to slow down and show appreciation for those people that are out there making a difference in the world. I believe that you're doing that already. I'm interested to know more around the reactions that the kids were having when you were really taking them to another level of understanding in their life, right? So when it comes to business and creating things that were good for them. So if it's okay with you, can you tell us more?
Yeah, I'm blown away at the aptitude of students and their thirst for knowledge. And, you know, the best part about it is that I get to take the things that I've learned as an entrepreneur and as a CEO, and I'm actually helping the organization develop new curriculum. So I'll share an example. We never could have expected that we'd have to be dealing with a pandemic right now, right? But if you have to deal with a pandemic, how can you use that either as an entrepreneur or comparing it as someone leading an organization? You know, what do you do, you know, at times like that? And then on the flip side, you know, these kids don't want to do case studies on Under Armour and Nike all day. They want to do them on Epic Games and Fortnite, you know, and start talking about the things that are of interest to them. So, and by the way, I barely know how to spell Fortnite, but, you know, the whole idea of, I mean, teachers are amazing marketers, right? They got to create sort of content in a way that is appealing to the audience. And isn't that what we try to do as business people as well? You know, going back to something that you said, Eric, I'm sort of interested in this question, and that is, what's going to replace the handshake, right? You know, we love that handshake when we've concluded business and we want to say thank you. Like, you know, what's going to replace the handshake going forward?
I think for us, from our perspective, I think it's going to be the air 5 and the air hugs.
Right?
So it's going to be, you know, and the thank yous, of course, right? or simply like in the Old West, Old Wild West, which be like,
Yeah,
you know, you used
have to wear a hat. Yeah.
To wear a hat and then just kind of, I mean, it depends on the people that you're talking to, right? I know that Drew and I, when we wear hats, you know, it's a simple bow to the head, or
Right.
namaste, and namaste, you know. There's so many different things we can do. But
Hey,
Drew,
so it's just thinking different, right?
yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Drew. See you,
So,
man.
we've interviewed quite a few people, and I always want to know how people's routines were interrupted during this pandemic or us being locked in. How has your routine been interrupted, and what have you done to make sure that you don't get lethargic or just kind of lazy or don't do what you're supposed to do to keep your business going?
Absolutely. When I started my practice out of what used to be the yellow bedroom, now it's painted, and I can call it DHill headquarters. I worked 8:30 to 6 every day, right? I worked out of the house. The kids were still in school. They actually could see how hard I was working, different than when I sort of left every day. I didn't realize until about a year and a half later that working 8:30 to 6 every day is like a 6-day work week, right? It's just in 5 days. And so what that meant is I didn't feel like I had to work until 7:30 or 8 or 9. I didn't feel like I had to work on the weekends. We can't sprint forever. So, because I've worked out of the house, this actually feels much more normal for me. I maybe have a few more people around my office than normal. But I think part of it is, more understanding that just because I'm in a comfortable position and that this is familiar, it's still very different for everyone I talk to. So, even the idea of Zoom calls, you used to have 30 minutes to decompress on the drive back or the next place you were going, and now you're hopping right onto another call. So, what am I doing different? I think there are really two things that you can do. One is, join another Facebook group, just put yourself out there, start meeting new people, right?
Like the lab, right? Like this is perfect.
Like the lab, exactly.
Right. Just want to make sure.
Why do you think, Eric, I invited every one of my friends? I told you there'd be at least 2 people here. But the other is you need to be hungry to connect with people. So had I not followed up with Eric, I may not be here, right? So just understand that we actually have more control over our outcomes than we think. And if we take control, then I think we'll be at least connected with the actual results. What do you think, Tyler?
I have a follow-up. Sorry, I get to cut him off now.
It's so good.
It's usually that guy.
We're a happy family.
So you have clients, and I know that like over the last couple months, have your conversations been different with your clients than they were 6 months ago? Is it more of a how are you type of thing going on now, or has anything changed in that realm?
I would say most of my conversations are still very similar. Again, I'm still bringing on new clients, people that are having babies that need their first life insurance policies, or this is just a time when people are finally getting to a couple of things. So those conversations feel normal. Even on the health insurance benefit reviews, I see some strange things out there in the market, but when I'm putting in plans, I actually expect them to work for you for 3 to 5 years, right? If we made a good selection, then it really should be, unless there's something dramatic that changes, it should be good for 3 to 5 years. So we're still sort of in that window. I am seeing people take a little tighter look at networks on medical plans, see if they can refine that a little bit more. You're naturally hearing if I cut, hours back, how will it impact benefits? But there's just a lot of movement. You have companies that are adding people, they're cutting people. Those are probably more common conversations. But hopefully, I live in a life where my outcomes are highly predictable. So there's probably just not as much urgency than maybe some other industries.
Ty, you were gonna say something, so I'm gonna keep my mouth.
I was calling him out.
Oh, you were calling him out?
Yeah, I was saying, what do you think?
And so what do you think? No, so you were just talking about predictable business, which is a great segue to the question I'm going to ask you, right? So when you have a predictable business, you have to have activities and habits that you build around your daily routine, the daily activities that you do. So in order to do that, talk to me about your ideal client. Where do they come from, and how are you able to establish that relationship in a timely manner, such that by doing it, you now have a predictable business?
Yeah. So I started my business with digital marketing, lead generation. where I could buy real-time life insurance inquiries. And the reason I bought real-time life insurance inquiries was that clearly it's a shorter sales cycle and there's more upfront revenue. And when you're building a business, those are two important pieces to the business. But what really supports a business over time is reoccurring revenue. And that's what health insurance provides. It's a little bit over a long period of time, which you hope to continue to see growing. So I found that health insurance is a lot easier to refer by the general public than life insurance. Life insurance is much more intimate. So those referrals are going to come from financial planners, insurance agents that maybe don't handle life insurance, CPAs, things like that. But on the benefit side, all of a sudden you start to see where that's really where you can build a robust business with reoccurring revenue that potentially is even, dare I say, an asset. So the types of clients that tend to be in my sweet spot are 10 to 20 employees. They tend to be underserved in the general benefits market because a lot of benefit firms that have layers of management want 50 or 100 person groups, in large part because they can set their compensation levels. But because in that 10 to 20 size group, rates are set, I can now compete on service, response time, connection. Clearly I pay attention to the details, and businesses just want to know that they're not out there on their own. So, that's where I've really seen, especially in the last 6 months, a major uptick in my 10 to 20 person employee clients. And I think we would agree that those tend to be businesses that are established enough that maybe they get to are able to weather these storms a little bit better than, 1 and 2 person offices.
Outstanding. So now, let's say you get one of those companies that have those employees, and you are now having to see each one of them, right? You're catering to each individual, correct? As you insure them.
That really depends, right? An employer may say, all right, we'd like you to come out, and talk about our benefits. If people have individual questions, they just had a baby, I'm happy to address that. So, part of it is just my expected engagement. Am I asking to sit down with every employee? The answer is no. I want people to engage in their business in the way that feels right for them. And I think you're also hearing that I'm not maxing out every opportunity from a cash flow standpoint. I'm maxing out every opportunity from a relationship standpoint. And that's again where I don't have any preconceived notion of what it's going to look like. So when you go back to sort of a repeatable process, all right, I did the leads, right? Then I started to figure out you could meet people. Then you needed to follow up, start to build a relationship, hear about their business, where they're headed, see if you can help them get where they want to get to, and then everything else falls into place. Now, that could be 30 months, but I'm willing to wait it out, right? Because I already got some other things working along the way. And, that's where, again, it becomes a repeatable process. If you really wanted to know, I start my day every day by checking LinkedIn, and then I go to Twitter, and then I go to Facebook, and then I go to Instagram, and then I check to see if anyone sent me a Snapchat. I just need more Snapchat friends. But that's how I start my day, and that's fitting since you had the social media queen here on yesterday.
That's outstanding. It looks like you have a system to things. What system do you use to track your contacts to contract written? What I mean is, you have a contact, and over a period of time, they're all going to convert somehow, some way to a client that's going to be with you for a life, for the term, right? How are you measuring that?
I should be better at that, Eric. So we all have areas of improvement. There are a lot of things that I'm not catching everything, right? I do have a CRM. I think I'm sort of at that stage where I have to decide whether I want to complicate my life with other people, right? And it's something that we talked about briefly in terms of, I'm not at capacity yet, but I'm also not driving the ship at capacity. So, you try to figure out whether you need to make some adjustments along the way. I still like the course that I'm headed on and the business that I'm picking up, which, I'm still, seeing. So I have a general sense of my sales cycle. I know that I'm getting referred by a peer professional with a client that has an identified need. So we're either going to wrap it up in a month or two, or it's going to drag on. And I'm not a drag on sort of person. So,
So
I try to wrap things up pretty quickly.
So what I'm hearing you say is that there might be an opportunity for you to have a business coach in the future. That's all I'm saying.
Everyone would have that benefit, but sure, absolutely. I could be better.
We all can, right? We all can. All right. So Ty, where are you at, man?
Oh, I'm right here. I did have something that you said, David, that I thought was very insightful. And you mentioned being relationship based, and so many businesses out there, or businesses that want to be businesses, right? Focus on being revenue based and relationship enhanced, as opposed to the other way around. So I really like how you mentioned right there. And with what we tell clients is you've got to be relationship based, and then the revenue comes from that. The referrals come from that. It's really forging that relationship. And you mentioned social media. I got to admit, I was on your Facebook going back and forth and seeing your cooking videos and your kids on there and stuff like that. So my question is, we all need a support system. And I would love to hear a little bit about your family and your support system and how they make what you do doable.
Sure.
It's your opportunity to brag on them.
Absolutely. I have nothing to say. This is the one thing next question? No. They're not watching, right? Love you, Mom. My wife is a dietitian at Reston Hospital. That's slow and steady, probably risk averse, right? So as an entrepreneur, you really need some stability in your life. And she has certainly provided that stability for me. I can't do what I do unless I have her confidence, right? So you have that piece, my daughter, who's at Virginia Tech, a great student, works extremely hard, harder than I ever did, right? And so you have a certain pride that goes along with that. And then my 17-year-old son, who probably thinks that someday he's going to be working at DHill Financial. I told him with a tighter job market, I expect to see a lot more internship applications coming in, but I've seen none. But there is something just great again about them seeing how hard you work and sort of feeding off of that. I know as you build a business that it's not supposed to be easy, otherwise everyone would do it. And so, for me, I am a big believer in that. I'm a huge believer in sort of recognizing that if you like what it's going to look like in a year based upon what you're doing, then just keep doing what you're doing. Right. But if you don't like what it's going to look like, then you really have to make some changes. And so I feel very fortunate that I do have a good process in place, that I do take time to say thank you, that I do appreciate people much in the same way that I appreciate the three of you.
That's awesome. Drew, anything? I saw you leaning. All right. So I have a question for you. And before we go into rapid fire, because we all go into rapid fire, and I know you're prepared. We talked about it yesterday. I know you did a workout and you got your mind ready for the rapid fire. But before we go, what is the biggest obstacle that you think you're facing right now? And in relation to, like, if you were to associate it to all the business owners out there, what would that be?
Yeah. The biggest obstacle right now is not having a more structured formula for follow-up, right? And I don't just mean of sales prospects. I mean, I've been working for a long time on getting my nurture campaign, built, not to get cookie cutter stuff out there, because nothing about me is cookie cutter. So I have the content, I have the strategy, I have sort of what I want the journey to look like over a year or so. I just haven't prioritized that. Right. So again, the biggest challenge would be focused on the business coming in today versus what you need to do tomorrow to retool.
Yeah, we appreciate your honesty with that, right? Because we all have, there's always room for improvement in our systems, right? And the things that we utilize to continue to maintain a systematic approach to communication with our clients. And the reality is, what you were saying, cookie cutter, I would completely relate to that, right? The one-on-one communication with the people we care about and we work with is very important. When in the past, it was one message going to 1,000 people, or 10,000 or 20,000. Now we have the opportunity to actually utilize artificial intelligence to mold, opportunities with those people, right? And there's a lot of great books out there. There's actually a book called Platform Revolution that talks about, how technology now, with the aid of artificial intelligence, is really helping business owners to connect with people at a one-on-one kind of, always evolving, always really gathering information and providing, a great funnel of communication and value to our clients as they grow in relationship with you. So
absolutely. Sitting right next to me, actually, when I started my business, I made a list of what would prevent me from being successful. And it's actually hanging on my wall right here. And on the list was not providing centers of influence the right content. So I already identified it 3.5 years ago, already started the process 2 years ago of collecting proposals, and just have been adding new business. And so we keep fighting a good fight in that regard.
that's right. We fight the good fight. And then there's a time in our life when we have to say, you know what, today I put my foot down and we make a decision.
Look, it's just whether you're ready to vault to the next level. That's all.
Absolutely, 100%. Now, we're ready to go into rapid fire. People, stand by. Drew,
I mean,
drop it like
this is the chance where I'm actually now nervous. Hold
Drew,
on. Hold on.
there you go. Yeah, you got to get ready.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
You should be nervous because our last guest met their spouse on Tinder. So you got to get a better story than that.
She's
I
listening
actually
right
have
now.
a good one. I won't
Watch it,
prejudice
watch
the
it.
questions.
Okay. So you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Quick, fast, to the point. Is it possible that my wife has a life insurance policy I don't know about?
No.
This is not in your realm of insurance, but who wins in a fight, Flo or the lizard?
The lizard.
All right. What's your favorite quarantine meal so far?
Well, you guys have watched them.
Yes, we
I don't
have.
know. That corned beef hash with the corned beef that I slow smoked on the grill was pretty fantastic.
What's the one snack food you eat the most?
Mixed nuts, salted.
Last show you binge watch?
Well, we're watching Money Heist. Right now, I'm watching The Last Dance, though, because
Okay.
Michael Jordan's king.
Favorite movie of all time?
Probably the Bourne Ultimatum.
That's a good one.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
The last book you read?
I can't remember.
It's okay. I can tell your answer is going to be the Caps, but what's the pro sport you miss watching the most?
The Caps,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, David. So as we get ready to close, we want to let our audience know what's the best place to find you. So if you would share that with them, that'd be great.
Sure. I would say the best place to find me is through Eric. So reach out to him and he'll put you in contact with me.
No, so
But if Eric's not available, then call Drew. And if Drew's not available, then call Tyler. You can find me right. And then I'm never getting the message. You can reach me, online, DHillFinancial.com. My email, david@DHillFinancial.com, or find me on Facebook and let's connect, LinkedIn as well. Thanks again for having me, everybody.
outstanding. We loved having you. So on behalf of the lab, we thank you for coming and spending time with you. And my partner, Drew Swirsky, leading the Elite Real Estate Group, Tyler Holloway, the man with the master plan and a PC United coaching program, and yours truly here, MAPS Business Coach with MAPS Business Coaching. We really appreciate you coming to the lab today, David. And we wish you and your business continued success. Thank you once again.
Thanks again, guys. Have a great day.